When the first explosions echoed across the border, life for millions changed in an instant. The familiar morning sounds of school bells and bustling markets were replaced by the piercing wail of air raid sirens. Imagine waking up not to your alarm clock, but to a sound that tells you your world is no longer safe. Families, with just minutes to decide what truly matters, packed their lives into small bags. They took photos, a child's favorite toy, and the keys to a home they might never see again. The air filled with uncertainty, a heavy blanket of fear and questions, with no answers. Would they ever return? What would be left? In cities across Ukraine, ordinary people found extraordinary courage. Teachers, artists, and shopkeepers became defenders of their homeland. They stood firm, their resilience a powerful shield against the chaos. Their hope, even in the darkest hours, became a beacon. They were fighting not just for their land, but for their memories, their future, and their very identity. Each act of defiance, no matter how small, was a testament to their unbreakable spirit. They organized, they helped one another, they shared the little they had, creating a web of community that bombs couldn't break. This wasn't just a defense of buildings, but a defense of a way of life. Meanwhile, on the other side of the front line, a different story unfolded. Young Russian soldiers, many barely out of their teens, marched into a conflict they were told was a special military operation. Far from their families, they carried orders that weighed heavier than their rucksacks. For many, the reality on the ground was a stark contrast to the narrative they had been given. They faced not a welcoming population, but a people fiercely defending their homes. In their eyes, you could sometimes see the confusion, the fatigue, and the quiet burden of being a gear in a massive, impersonal machine of war. They too were sons, brothers, and friends, caught in a current far beyond their control. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the true cost of this war became devastatingly clear. Neighborhoods that once echoed with children's laughter were reduced to rubble and silence. Apartment blocks stood like hollowed-out skeletons, their empty windows like vacant eyes staring into a bleak new reality. The infrastructure of daily life, hospitals, schools, power plants became targets, and with their destruction, the fabric of society began to unravel. The physical destruction was immense, but it was just a visible scar of a much deeper wound. Every collapsed roof represented a shattered dream, every broken window a disrupted life. The landscape itself seemed to mourn, scarred by craters and the remnants of battle. The human toll was even more profound. Families were torn apart by geography and ideology. A mother in Kyiv worried for her son defending the East, while a grandmother in Moscow couldn't understand why her grandson was fighting in a brotherly nation. Phone calls became fraught with a tension that never existed before. Conversations tiptoeing around a painful reality. Children became refugees overnight, their playgrounds replaced by crowded shelters in foreign lands. They learned new languages, new customs, but carried the invisible weight of trauma. The war created millions of individual stories of separation, each one a unique tragedy. Brothers found themselves on opposite sides, friendships strained to the breaking point, and the simple act of calling a loved one became a prayer for their safety. Beyond the grand narratives of geopolitics, of territory and power, the conflict is lived in the small, quiet moments of ordinary people. It's the elderly woman who refuses to leave her home, the only world she's ever known, tending to her garden amidst the debris. It's the volunteer driving countless hours to deliver bread and medicine to an isolated village, risking their own life for a stranger. It's the musician playing a cello in the bombed-out shell of a theater, a beautiful, defiant act of humanity against the noise of destruction. It's the child drawing pictures of a sunny day with a blue sky, a simple, powerful expression of a longing for peace. These are the stories that often get lost behind the headlines and statistics. Each displaced person, each grieving family, each soldier on either side has a name, a history, and a future that has been irrevocably altered. A mother waiting for a son who will never come home. A father trying to explain to his daughter why they can't go back to their house. A young person whose dreams of university or a career are now on an indefinite pause, replaced by the daily struggle for survival. This war is a collection of millions of interrupted lives, a symphony of human experience cut short by the discord of conflict. It's a stark reminder that war is never abstract. It has a face, a voice, a heartbeat. It's the face of a Ukrainian medic tending to the wounded, their expression a mix of exhaustion and determination. It's the voice of a Russian mother pleading for information about her conscripted son. It's the faint heartbeat of a newborn baby in a hospital basement, a fragile symbol of life continuing against all odds. When we look past the maps and the military analysis, we see the universal human experience: love for family, fear of loss, and a deep-seated desire to live in peace. The real price is paid not by governments or armies, but by the people. This story isn't just about Ukraine or Russia. It is a universal story about the devastating impact of conflict on our shared humanity. It forces us to ask difficult questions about how we resolve our differences and what we value as a global community. It highlights the fragility of peace and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable hardship. It shows that even in the darkest of times, acts of kindness, compassion, and solidarity can shine through. The volunteers, the journalists, the humanitarian workers, they all represent the best of us, rushing towards the danger to help, to document, to heal. Ultimately, this conflict is a powerful testament to the fact that behind every political decision, there are human consequences. It's a call for empathy, for understanding that goes beyond borders and flags. It's a hope that one day, the sounds of reconstruction will replace the sounds of destruction, that children will once again play freely in the streets, and that families will be reunited. The greatest hope is for a future where dialogue replaces fighting, where silence is no longer a pause between sirens, but a lasting peace. Because at the end of it all, the desire for a safe home and a peaceful life is a language we all understand. Thank you for watching.